Welcome everybody back to SAFC Fan TV on a Monday night, and joining us tonight it's Conrad. Conrad, how are you doing, mate?
Aye, not bad yourself, Terry.
Happy days. Are you happy?
Oh, buzzing after we won the derby. It's only a derby if we win, and because we won, it was a massive game.
Hello, Jack. How are you doing? I take it you were at the match, Jack, were you?
I was indeed, yeah. Very happy with the performance, and I'm sure we'll have a good hour talking about how wonderful we played and how brilliant life is after a Sunderland win.
Big question, were you drunk at 12 o'clock before the match or not?
I wouldn't say I was drunk, but I wasn't sober either. I had a couple just to enjoy the atmosphere, get amongst us, as the saying is.
Exactly. And Wayne, how are you doing, mate?
Very good, mate. Very good. And a very enjoyable weekend, and some more good news about 20 minutes ago. So, life's good being a Sunderland fan at the minute.
Happy days, happy days. And on the live chat, we have Chris Johnson. Ekwa just signed another really good young signing from this recruitment team. Not bad for a club. Still being run by Stuart Donald, apparently. Chuckle. Dave Walker, welcome to SAFC. Pierre Ekwa. Las Palmas Macam. Hello, how you doing, Las Palmas Macam? DJ Sizzler Watson. Evening, boys and girls. Boys, anyway. There we go. Anyway, so there's a few more on there too. We got Sam Mullen mistakes. Any news on the striker? Not just yet, not just yet. We also have Only Fools in SFC. Hello, he's on the chat. Charlie Rohan, hello. Rufus, hello. And Emma Hansen. Moderator, evening, lads. Good to see you back, Terry. Nice one. Thank you. So before we get started with this weekend's amazing, fantastic result against Middlesbrough, we'll quickly have a quick chat about the first signing of the January window. Pierre Ekwa signed on a permanent deal, which I mean permanent deal. I'm over the moon with that permanent deal. I love that word, permanent deal. It's 2 words. Is that good? And signed until 2027. The 21-year-old defensive midfielder who loves to play number 8, box-to-box blokey. Wayne, what's your thoughts on this lad joining from West Ham?
Well, I think it's been rumoured for a few weeks, but this lad has been rumbling on, and we didn't really know too much about him, but doing some research about where he's been and his past history, he looks a class act. Looks great potential. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him action. I think he's 6'2", he's physical, and I think he's exactly what we've been lacking. The last couple of seasons, somebody big who can get box to box, win a few headers as well in midfield. So I'm really excited to see him in action. Great signing.
Do you think he'll be on the bench on Saturday against Fulham?
Well, I think I know he played for the West Ham Premier League too, didn't he? On I think it was Wednesday, and I think he took a little bit of a knock. I think he got took off at half time with an injury, so I'm not sure if he's actually fully fit. But if he's fit, why not put him in? It's a free. It's Saturday, isn't it? The FA Cup game, so.
Definitely is. Why not put him on the bench and give him a run up later on? Depends how it's going anyway. Conrad, what's your thoughts on the young lad coming from West Ham?
I think it's another sort of good pick that we've got so far. I mean, we under this sort of recruitment lot, we tend to pick up quite good young players. If you have a look at the likes of, you've got Abdullah Bar, you've got Diallo, you've got I'm trying to think, like even Sirkin, Hume. Huggins, not so much. I haven't seen that much of him. Might be injury thing, but they tend to know what they're doing when they pick up these youngsters. Michu, another one, had a great game on Saturday when he came on. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play. And like Wayne said, to have someone that big and physical in the middle, it might make a bit of a difference for us, because that's the one thing we were probably lacking, was that little bit of physicality and sort of strength, I would have said.
Right, so back on the chat, we have Jeff who says, right, Terry. David, great win and great time to be a Sunderland fan. Emma Hansen, I thought was only going to be on loan. So happy he signed on a permanent deal. Jeff said, any idea how much? Undisclosed fee. So Jack, about Pierre, before we get started on Pierre, why did they say undisclosed fee? What's all that about, Jack?
I think if they don't want anybody to know, how much money they might have. So I think it's sometimes one of those keeping your cards close to your chest. If we were to go out and pay 3.5 or 4 million from them, they know we've paid that. Next time we go to sign somebody that we want, the selling club will think, hang on, Sunderland have got a bit of money here. So the price goes up twice as much. So I think it's a common thing. I think it's keeping your cards close to your chest as a buying club, to not let people know, basically your recruitment and how much money you have and what players you're in for. So I think that's the thinking behind it. Wayne wants in.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard a rumour that Stoke were after him as well. But apparently he's chosen to come here, which is just shows you the pull we've got. Established team like Stoke in the Championship, but he's chosen to come here. And I think from what I can believe, the model that was laid out and the plans we've got moving forward. So, great sign.
Thing is, Stoke won at the weekend, didn't they, as well? So they had a good result at the weekend. But yeah, I think I'd rather play for Sunderland than Stoke, wouldn't you, Jack?
Well, yeah. Well, I think we were all kind of putting our faith in the recruitment strategy, but so far hasn't really let us down, as it would seem to be, as Conrad says, targeting young players, and we're certainly more hit than miss, aren't we, this season? And going back to last season, I'm looking at his attributes. He looks like he's a big, tall lad, as has been touched on. He's physical. He's going to add a bit of presence in the middle, which sometimes when you've got the likes of Dan Neil and Embleton when he plays and Corey Evans, you are missing a bit of height, a bit of physicality. You can get away with playing it all on the bottom and playing good football, but now and again, sometimes if you come up against a physical team and the game's a bit rough, you do need that midfield enforcer, so to speak. And he looks like he'd be able to carry the ball up and down. I think he was given a bit of an interview and saying he likes to get forward but also get back, bit of a box-to-box man. He has a bit of energy. Well, he has a good engine on him, a bit of energy about his play. So yeah, I think we sort of hoped that Jay Matete would be that role, didn't we, last season in League One when we signed him? We sort of pinned our hopes on him. He didn't really ever get a real run through, and obviously he's gone. So yeah, I'm positive. You've got to place your trust in this recruitment strategy. I don't know if he knew AJ Alessi from West Ham as well. Maybe he might have been in his ear roll telling him to come up to Sunderland, because it's brilliant up here and we've got fantastic beaches and we're winning games and everything. So
happy days. Conrad, you want to be in first?
Yeah, Bristolian Mackham on the chat said what I was thinking too, that it's an undisclosed fee as well. It's probably because we probably have some sort of clauses in the contract. I know there was always those ones about Sirkin when Tottenham could come back in for him. I think he came from on there, or they've got the first buyback option. So it's probably that if you're disclosing the fee, that's what gets read in the media. But other clubs can maybe look into the deal and go, hang on, he's got a release clause of this, or he's got he can go for this much at this point, or they're allowed back in for him. So it's like Jack says, it's probably just keeping your cards close to your chest and sort of saying nope, this is our deal. The two clubs know what's going on, but he's our player, and that's it.
Right, before I go to Wayne, and then Wayne can read out some of the comments if he wants. Apparently, Ekwa trained with the lads today, is bedded in really well, and is a confident, likeable character. Wayne, you wanted to be in?
Yeah, there's just one in the chat there, which we might touch on a little bit later on. So Telly said, notice you didn't mention Benetti. He's not cutting the mustard at the moment. Age is no excuse. That's an interesting one.
Right. Anyway, back on the live chat. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Much appreciated. And also, we try to get 100 likes, which with 83 watching is pretty difficult. Unless you've got two channels, you can like it twice. Please give us a thumbs up and like the channel. Thank you very much if you're enjoying the content. DJ Sizzler Watson. Terry, you sit near me. Did you see any smoggies wearing a monkey mask on there and was doing racist chants when the police? I didn't see any trouble, because I'm right down below. I didn't see anybody up a height causing any trouble. I know there's a lot of police presence up there, a lot going on. We got Telly. You didn't mention Benetti, but that one must have. We got Gary on the chat. David Joblin's on the chat. Then we got John Treborian, says spot on Jack, likes a bit of Jack's crack. David Walker, most transfers say undisclosed fee. Now, John Treborian says French journals said he has a few clubs after him. And then Bristolian Mackham about the buyback clause. I've heard that somewhere else as well. Keno, it has to do. He can also slot in the back. He played right back. He's played in the defensive area as well. Ian Wilkinson says, hello, gang. Great signing. Will make a centre midfield stronger. And then we have David. We can give KS credit for the recruitment. And also, Ian says, agree with Bennett struggling. Steve Usher, from what I've seen and read, being told CPL of my West Ham friends, Ekwa is going to be a physical presence, what we've been missing. Now we'll go into the game. Sunderland did beat Middlesbrough at a 12 o'clock kickoff. Now, let me know, you three. We'll start off with Conrad. What's your thoughts on these 12 o'clock kickoffs?
I don't see the point in I know they're sort of going to. I remember someone I know spoke to the local police, who were a bit like, oh, it must make such a difference having the game at 12 o'clock. People can't go drinking as early. And the policeman apparently just turned around and went, they just stay out from the night before, and just go straight to the match. There's no actual benefit to it on there. If anything, it could be just as worse. I think it's more, I don't know, maybe it's as daft as something as if it's daylight, easy for them to see things, less likely that they can hoods up, get in amongst the crowd on the dark on the way out, I guess, on there. But I'm not a fan of it. It always seemed to, like when we played Newcastle at home, just take a little bit out of the atmosphere. The fact that you had to be up there for like midday for the game, and I just want 3 o'clock or 5:30. I'm not asking for 8 o'clock at night or anything like that. Just a normal time for a big game. That's all I want.
Well, I had to go around Wincy's about 9:15. I had my first pint at 9:15. It took us an hour to drink a pint. I just couldn't stomach at that time in the morning. I know Jack's one of these lads that can stay out all night. Did you stay out all night, Jack, and go straight to the match?
I was a good lad, actually, Terry, on Saturday night. I was home by about midnight, so I certainly didn't stay out. But I know what you mean about the early kickoff. Sometimes when you see it's an early kickoff, you just think, oh, it's a Sunday as well, so you can't really drink too much because most people are at work the next day. So it's not even like it's a Saturday early kickoff, and you can think, well, at least I can drink afterwards because I'm not at work on the Sunday. So yeah, I don't think I know what Conrad says, it does slightly take a bit out of the atmosphere, but I still think the atmosphere is pretty good. I'm sure in the chat they'll all have their own opinions, but I thought the atmosphere was rocking at times yesterday, obviously helped by the fact we were winning and playing well. But I thought the Stadium Light atmosphere was one of the best I've heard it in a while, so I thought it was really, really good yesterday.
Conrad?
Can I just say my atmosphere was having to listen to the awful pre-match build-up. I can't even remember who they had the Borough legend on, but the one they used for us was Stephen Caldwell. Like, that's what I had to deal with for like build-up and excitement. So forgive me for thinking it's a bit drab, this, like, in the build-up on there, but Stephen Caldwell doesn't fill you with excitement.
Anyway, Wayne, I know you like to go to church on a Sunday morning, so did you manage to get a pint in before the game?
No, I don't actually drink before the game, which is not for me. Like, but I'm not a fan of these early kickoffs. Like you say on a Sunday morning, especially when like yourself, I travel from Durham as well, so it can be a bit of a trek. You're leaving the house quite early, and also for away fans as well. It's not so bad for Middlesbrough, but if you've got a 12 o'clock kickoff on, if you're playing somebody from down south, it's a trek for them to get up for that time of the day as well. So I'm not a fan of them at all, but it's just unfortunate. It's the way football is at the moment, isn't it? It's just you've got to make the best of it.
Certainly is. And on the live chat, we do have Telly. Do you think with Lampard going, it will affect Sims? I might ask that question later on. And on Sims back, hopefully. And then Michael McDonough, 12 o'clock kicks off. It's a good thing the wives can come to the match knowing that they still have plenty of time to do the dishes when they get home. We've got to cook the food first, though, man. Don't forget about cooking the food first. Like the Sunday's dinner, cook the food. So they can make dinner while we at the match. Spot on, Ian. I'd prefer my dinner after the match, to be honest. So I don't want to wait till 4 o'clock have a dinner. Anyway, Ian, and also we have Ian Wilkinson says, I've been banging the drum for you for weeks. I can tell the silent assassin has done some great stuff without getting credit. Colin Major says, Wincy had a few before he left home, Terry. Did he? Bloody hell, he had a few, all right. Anyway, so go towards the match. Conrad, match. Starting line. What was your thoughts on the starting lineup when you first saw it?
It was pretty much everything that I thought. Like, if I was picking the team, that's pretty much what I would have picked, knowing that I couldn't have had Pritchard and 09 in it on there as well. It was actually, we don't get to see it that often, but I was actually really happy to see 2 actual centre-backs at centre-back at the start on there instead of a make. Not that 09's had a bad season or anything like that. He's actually been one of our sort of better players, but it just sounds daft, and it's probably a little bit sort of me, but I don't want players filling in at positions, and we bought Ballard for a reason, and Danny Bart's been amazing. So I was a bit like, I'm happy to see 2 of the big physical lads at the back for a change, and Hume, who that comment who mentioned him there is absolutely right. He's been absolutely fantastic since he's come in at right back on there. And Elise back as well, when he'd come in earlier on in the season instead of Sirkin, we were all a bit like, well, we've never seen him play. Is he good as this? Again, he's just so composed on the ball. He was getting down the left as well as cutting back in and marshalling. I think they had a number 8 on that side. I can't remember his name. He was the one who scored against us at the Riverside. It was everything that we had on there. Bit of a shame that Evans didn't last the game, but Michu came on. He looked so composed, like, could have played from the start if he could carry on like that. He was a very good player on the day.
Excellent. Jack, what was your thoughts on the starting lineup? Were you surprised Alessi came straight back in, or was that a forced hand sort of thing?
Well, I like Alessi, so I was pleased to start with, Terry. I was really, really pleased because I like him every time he plays. I think he's solid, he's athletic, he brings a bit of athleticism at the back, which sometimes we can lack. So I was pleased to start him. He can only I can only assume he felt fit. I mean, it might have been a little bit short of match fitness. That might be why he sort of hobbled around for the last 15, 20 minutes and then ended up having to go off, didn't he? But I thought he was excellent. I thought you wouldn't have known he'd been away for so long. I felt he slotted straight in, really assured performance. But I thought we were solid at the back all game. I know what CONRAD means when you say you've got that's probably our first choice centre half. Let's be honest, Ballard and Bath. As much as our fans like Luke O'Neill and Ballard and Bath are fit, he doesn't quite get in the team. So I think it was solid. I mean, we're going to come on to them probably, but we never really looked like conceding. And I think you get that solid platform at the back, and then you build from there. And too often recently, we haven't had that many clean sheets, have we? I can't remember when the last one was. Was it Millwall at home? Going back, that's quite a while. So, we're solid at the back. Other than that one chance that Patterson did well, obviously we'll come on to that as well. I never really felt threatened by Middlesbrough. Never thought they were going to score at all. So very, very impressed.
Was the last clean sheet Millwall? Was that when Ballard and Bart were together again then?
It might have been. I don't know. I can't remember the team then. Wayne's nodding, so that might be the case. But yeah, it goes to show, doesn't it? You get your full first choice defence out, and you look more assured at the back, I think.
Wayne, what was your thoughts on team selection? I'm sure Danny Bart had a good game against Millwall that day.
I think he did. I mean, I was a little bit surprised to see unless he actually, there was not a mention of him, was there, in the pre-match build-up and what have you. But I think we were all expecting Jack Clarkfoot to fill in there, weren't we? But it was great to see him back in the side. And to be fair, he didn't look short of match for us, and he went off a cramp at the end. But apart from that, he just slot in, effortlessly. He brings us something going forward as well. I think he joins in with the attack well as well, and he wins loads ahead. He's big physical, so great to see him back. And I think it was a great selection. Like you say, the other players kind of picked themselves really. Like you say, it was a shame Corey Evans has gone off. I'm not sure how bad his injury is, but Mitchell again did well when he came on. So it's good now. We've got them players on the bench who can come in and do a job when they've got to come on.
Conrad, you want to be in?
It was just I quickly looked up the team. O'Neill played Danny Bath against Millwall, and then it sort of came to mind that Dan Ballard's first game back was Hull because he came on for Danny Bart as well away, didn't he? On there, so I think this is probably one of the first times they've started together, probably even since the start of the season. But even then, Bailey Wright might have been in a couple of times at the start, so I think this is definitely the first time they've partnered together.
Definitely. Back on the chat, Ryan McCormick says, hello there. Here's a question for you. Would you all put a strong team out against Fulham on Saturday? I'll write that one down for later, and we'll ask that one later on. Then we have also David. The defence was brilliant. Ian Wilkinson was strong at the back, energetic in the midfield, even though Neil doing work for Mishoot and talented up front. Happy days. Then Michael again, manager said he came off with cramp and he's okay. I was going to mention that. That was the only thing I was a bit worried about the weekend was Evans and Alessi. It was cramp. I'm pleased it's cramp because I was worried in case he sort of niggled his old injury. That came back. It's been brought on too soon. Conrad Tank, superb performance against Borough. Promises a lot for the rest of the season. And Anon, I love watching the match against Sheffield Wednesday. And then we've got Northern Voice. The start was arguably our strongest 11. Right, so the first half, Jack, we're going to talk about the first half. Give us your thoughts overall on the first half, Jack, how it went, and should we have been in front at half-time?
Yes, we should have been in front. I don't think anybody, even the most strong, staunch Middlesbrough fan, could have argued if Sunderland had gone into half-time 2-0 up, really, on the chances that we had, the amount of possession that we had, the impetus was with us. And we were just fantastic from start to finish. The only slight thing was that we didn't manage to get a goal. I mean, probably the golden chance was when the keeper slotted it straight out to Ahmad and he puts it wide. But Ross Stewart had a couple. He had the one where he sort of lobbed it and the keeper got his hands on it, put one over the bar. He actually had the ball in the net, marginal offside. I think it was offside, to be fair, so we can't claim we were hard done by. But it wasn't just the fact that we created chances, it was how much energy we showed. We came up against an in-form Middlesbrough team there. You would think it would be them that were kind of coming out the traps flying, and it was us. The crowd got up, and we were just fantastic. And then, ironically, we got the goal in the second half. We got the first goal, and then we had a bit of a lull, as we've touched on. So, but no, we were fantastic in the first half, and that's probably the best we've been at home all season, I would say. And the only thing that was missing was an early goal. And I think had we got an early goal, it might have been an even heavier win. We might have won that even 4 or 5 and not wait until the last 10 minutes to kind of wrap it up.
Were you surprised in the first half how poor Middlesbrough was, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they looked a bit nervy and naive. We looked like we got the grips of the game straight away and we got control of it, and they looked like they weren't expecting us to come out. I thought they looked like rabbit in headlights, some of them. Do you know what I mean? They were like not sure, were overawed by the occasion a little bit, weren't expecting us to be so quick on the ball, and it took them half an hour, 35 minutes to really get used to it. And yeah, we should have really had an early goal, but yeah, I thought they just looked a bit lost. They were all over the place, I thought.
Nice one. Right, if you're enjoying this at this moment in time, could you please give us a thumbs up? Be much appreciated. Please give us a thumbs up. Conrad, is there anything interesting on the chat? Have you noticed?
Well, I haven't, so you caught me off guard there. I was ready to talk about the first half. I'll read out the latest one. Ryan put the performance was great. The fans were fantastic. I heard 09 in commentary box. Yeah, he was. It was quite funny actually having him on there, because there was a couple of times where he was not digging out his teammates, I say, but they were certainly talking to him about it. I think at one point they even mentioned, you got a red card last week, and he had to be really sort of like, yeah, I'll let everybody down in this. What I could tell he really wanted to say, all right, mate, do you want to not bring that up? I've come here out the goodness of my heart. 09 was like on Sky, he was the third commentator, right. So they had obviously the two that do it. They did it against when we played Sheffield United away. I'm sure they had Neil Warnock as like the third commentator for like 30 minutes or so, and it was like the funniest thing they'd ever done, because they were coming out and going, oh yeah, when I was at Borough they were telling me to go and sign Charlie Wyke, and I thought, nah, he's rubbish him, I want that Ross Stewart. And then he was like, we tried to go for 09 but he wanted too much money, and it's like, you can't be saying this, Neil, like what are you doing?
So Conrad, what was your thoughts on the first half, Conrad? And because you've probably seen the offside, Stewart, was it offside by much or not?
Yeah, it wasn't much. It was if it had been when Diallo cut it back for Roberts, that was the ideal time to play the ball across the 6-yard box. Stewart was there for it. And you could see, I think he'd ran and he'd stopped his run with his hands out and he was looking back at Roberts. And obviously at that point, you're not going to stop and go, oh, I'm offside. You're just going to put it in. It's come to you. It's at your feet. Keeper's diving it. You're just going to put it in and hope for the best, So I think he knew he was offside from the first moment. But yeah, it was quite clearly offside. I would say there seemed to be, I don't know if you've noticed this, we were offside like close to 10, 11 times in that first half on there. Just Diallo like 3 or 4 times over there. Stewart with a couple as well. It felt like at some point, like it also felt this is bad, but it also felt like, well, hang on, Borough are playing a really high line and we've got 3 really good players are getting like Jack Clark. If you go this side, you've got Roberts and Diallo who are interchangeable on that side there. Stewart's not a slouch when you get in behind, as we saw in the second half. It just felt a bit like we knew what our plan was. We're going along with you. We're going to make you run back at your own goal. And they didn't even bother doing it. Non's just put there, is it 9 offsides all game. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of them were in that first half. It certainly felt that way when it was looking at it on there.
Do you put that down to good defender from Middlesbrough, or do you put it down to a sloppy attacking lineup from Sunderland?
I think it was a bit like what Jack said, a bit of deer in the headlights. It almost felt like they hadn't checked on who they were playing, and they thought we were still going to be the same Sunderland that turned up at the Riverside, where we had a striker out at the first 5 minutes from the game. We had our centre back missing, and we literally threw a team together in Mowbray's second game. Just went, go. Like that was our sort of tactic in that game. It just felt like they weren't organised, which is weird because when Carrick's come in, they've only lost 1 game, and that was to Burnley. And like we all know how well Burnley are doing at the minute there as well. And they smashed Wigan just the same week that we did on there. They're not slouches. It just felt like they were really not prepared for what we had to offer them, really.
Thank you. Wayne, anything on the chat you want to read out?
So Emma says we should have had Catton Wall in the commentary as well, which would have been interesting. Like Conrad just said there, we had 9 offside all game. 7 of those were in the first half. Emma says, yeah, seems guys should have had commentary on as Luke 09 was at the ground as well. 09 said we need to keep Stewart on the commentary.
Yeah, they did ask him about that actually, and I thought, well, that's a bit naughty. You can't be bringing that up, but I'm guessing they just took their opportunity. But even he said, like, nah, we have to do everything we can to try and keep him, which is exactly right.
And Jeff says, Dan, it was immense for me pinning the ball around like Beckham.
So in the first half, Wayne, do you put the offsides down to good defending or poor from our sort of striking lineup and Mad and all those? And what was your thoughts on the first half?
I think it's a bit of both. a bit of lazy play on our part. When you're watching the line, you should be able to, especially they're playing high, it's better for us, to play them balls over the top. You just need to watch the line a little bit. So I think a little bit of sloppiness on our part, I think. But the game should have been out the second half time. The chances we had, I think at times we're maybe guilty of overplaying it a little bit. There's times when Jack Clark will beat his man, and then rather than get a shot away or put it across, and he try to beat his man and lose it. And Roberts does the same.
Dan Neil had a moment where he could have had like 3 opportunities for a shot in the first half and just kept looking for who else am I going to pass this to.
And I think even Tony Moore, I was watching Tony Moore, but even he was getting frustrated at the lack of not getting a shot away. So, and I was a bit worried. I thought, these chances are going to come back and bite us on the arse a little bit the second half, because what happens. I thought Middlesbrough couldn't play as bad again second half, but it proved not. But I was a bit worried at half time when it was 0 each. I thought we might ruin those missed chances.
Yeah, Jeff said that as well. He says all those chances at half time where you're worrying that we're going to get beat in the second half. But I think, like, Tony Murphy must have had a word with them saying you're offside too many times, because as soon as the second half started, Stewart was straight through, 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he was brought down. Jack, what was your thoughts on that? Was it a penalty? Was it a red card?
Well, there's definite contact, firstly. So all the Middlesbrough fans saying Ross Stewart's dove. He hasn't dove. There's definite contact. He definitely shoves him. Whether or not there's enough contact to make him go down, I don't know. But you're looking at it this way, looking at it from our perspective. If Ross Stewart stays on his feet, maybe loses his balance, and then the defender tackles him, you would say to him, why didn't you go down and get a penalty? Wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes to get the decision, you have to go down, rightly or wrongly. He forced the referee's hand. I think Ross Stewart possibly could have stayed on his feet. People saying the contact's outside of the box, it might have been. So we probably got the rub of the green on that one. I didn't think it personally was a penalty, although I do think it was contact. I think if Ross Stewart wasn't overrunning the ball, I think he probably would have got a touch and probably had a shot at goal. So he's maybe realised the ball's overrunning, the keeper's coming out, felt the contact, gone down, and hoped for the best. And thankfully, unlike last week, we had a obliging referee, shall we say, who like to give us 1 or 2 decisions. Say that even the sells out. Well, we didn't get it last week, so maybe that was our one due on Sunday that we got, that we should have had, the terrible referee performance. I think the letter of the law says if the referee feels he hasn't made an attempt to get the ball, then it is a red. And the referee must have looked at it and thought, well, it's a clear show. We made no attempt to play the ball. It was a little. I thought we got the rub of the green with it, to be fair.
Did the referee get the nod from the linesman, or because he seemed to wait a while before he made the decision? No way.
Yeah. I noticed that, and whether or not he was looking for confirmation or not, but I noticed he took his time. I don't know whether it was the linesman given. I don't think he was flagging, to be fair. I think he was sort of saying, well, it's up to you, putting it in the referee's hands, and he obviously decided to give us it, thankfully.
You want to be in, Wayne?
Yeah, just on the chat there. Alan says, he's amateur referee, was never a pen. He says, free kick and a red, but never a penalty. Ian Wilson, Luton honestly he had flu and had to keep away from the training ground. Keno, yet we agree we do overplay sometimes. Anon, that's never a pen. Free kick and a red. Pen decision was close, but Ross Stewart's toe was on the line, which is part of the box. A defender's hand still on his shoulder. VAR would have confirmed it anyway. So,
right, back on the chat as well. Marion Trowell says hello to me and the lads. Good listening to you all. A great game, full of confidence. Conrad Tank Ryan 09 was on for the first 20 minutes, was off after the first 20 minutes, on for the first 20 minutes, and give some good insights as well. So that's good. So we'll go to Conrad. Conrad, what was your take on the penalty? You had a good view from it.
Yeah.
You got a couple of different angles and everything. Was there much contact inside and outside?
So this is where it's sort of interesting, because they actually explained why it was given as a penalty as well. So it was quite a good one, because at first it was weird. I didn't jump up and go like screaming for it. Do you know what I mean? But it's very soft, but it is a penalty. The player had hold of him for about what felt like 10 meters while he was on there. So they were both, locking arms, trying to get ahead of them. Stewart is slightly ahead there. Stewart does the incredibly clever thing of getting to the box and then sort of acknowledging that the contact is a bit too much for him, because the line belongs to the penalty box. So if you make contact on the penalty box, it's a penalty. You don't give the foul for the initial contact, because if any of you are as old as I am, and I think the only person here who probably isn't is probably Jack, we had Cardiff in the Premier League back in 2014 when Gus Poyet was manager. Similar thing happened where Wickham was through and they pulled him back and he sort of used his strength, carried on, got into the box, and they were still pulling him, and they gave a penalty for it, because it's the rule is if you're carrying on fouling someone as they get into the box, it's a penalty, not from the initial contact, because you haven't let go of them, and it's still sort of like you're still pulling them back. It was a red card because he didn't attempt to play the ball and he was last man. If he'd have swung his leg wildly at him and tried to play the ball, it would have been a yellow card and a penalty. But because he made no effort on the ball whatsoever, it's a red card. You've just pulled him back for no reason. I was talking to a mate of mine at work, Sports Borough. We were both a bit like, the simpler thing to do would have been to haul him down outside the box, free kick. Yeah, you might be at 10 men, but they're away from it there, or let him through. Because you're already sort of jostling him, you're putting him off balance. It's going to be difficult. He might score. Stefan's still in the way. He's got a good chance of saving it. But, if they score, great. You've got half an hour to get back into the game and it's 11 versus 11. You've shot yourself in the foot by continuing to hold him when you know you've got hold of him and you're going to the penalty area. And yeah, it's soft. But if I was Ross Stewart, as soon as I saw my foot hit that line, I'd have been down as well, like a sack of shit. Just trying to make sure that the ref had no other alternative because I couldn't get my best shot away.
Thank you very much, Conrad. Very interesting there. I like that one. Wayne, now I remember early on in the season, I think it was Tony Mowbray, somebody was saying, we're a little bit too honest at times. We don't go down. So now Ross Stewart's gone down. I mean, I was hoping for a penalty. I was really surprised at the red card. I didn't know the rules like Conrad does. What was your take on it, Wayne? Were you just as surprised as me, or did you think it was a penalty straight away?
Just in the chat first, Jeff said Conrad is our VAR. Great.
Nice. Everyone hates VAR though, don't they? So I don't want
that. I was a bit surprised. In real time, it looked a clear foul and a penalty, but when it's been slowed down, I think it's a bit of a soft one. He starts pulling them back from outside the box. So, like Stewart's done the clever thing. He's getting to the box and then gone down. So, it even Carrick said he's well within his rights for to do that. So, fair play, Ross Stewart. He's kind
what's the word for it? Shithousing it. That's exactly it, isn't it?
No, but let's be honest. If Ross Stewart had stayed on his feet and we hadn't got it, the topic would have been today, why didn't Ross Stewart go down? Ross Stewart should have gone down and got a penalty. So to a certain extent, you have to force the referee's hand. As we touched, the Borough defender is silly, really, because I don't think Ross Stewart's getting there. I think the keeper would probably get it or at least smother it. So he's been silly, the Middlesbrough defender, to shove him and give Ross Stewart the excuse to go down. It's clever forward play, but he won it. Well, arguably won us the game. I helped us win the game, so no complaints from me.
What penalty Stewart won a few games back? Was it Blackburn? Where all he did was literally step in front of the guy who was coming to tackle the ball and just. He knew, like, straight away, I'm stepping in front of you here because you're going to come right through the back of me. It's a penalty. He had no intention of going, I'm going to get the ball, hold it up and turn and shoot. He was like, you're going to wipe me out here. It's incredibly smart play to sort of think, well, hang on, this idiot's got hold of me. If I just keep going and going until I get to the box and he's still got hold of me, that's the ref's decision made.
Back on the chat, the casual observer says, if we push the boat and have a real go, then there is absolutely no reason whatsoever we can't easily make the playoffs, because I keep saying the championship season is an absolute shite. This championship season is absolutely shite. Oh, well, there we go. Right, so when we went down to 10 men, I thought, interesting what Jack was saying, we seemed to play really well against 11 men. We dominated the first half, never really looked in danger apart from Patterson made one really good save. Second half comes out straight away, penalty. Ross Stewart scores it on it after a rebound. Good save by the keeper, but I think it was a good height for the keeper to save, to be fair. I think even Ross says it was a good height for the keeper to save. So you got the rebound. It was an sort of unorthodox height. Going back to the first half, though, when Ross Stewart was one-on-one with the keeper, it looked like it was one-on-one and through with the keeper in the first half from the north stand, but clearly took a really high bounce, so it was hard to get his foot to keep the ball down, and by then a defender getting in front. So they went down to 10 men anyway. And then I thought for the first 10 minutes after they were down to 10 men, we controlled the game quite well. We passed the ball a lot, but we tried to walk the ball into the back of the net. And then I think Middlesbrough made a couple of substitutions and they started to put us on the back foot. Jack, you made the comment before. What was your thoughts against 10 and against 11? And what was the reasons why? Do you know?
I think the changes helped Middlesbrough. I think they were also, they got to sort of 60 minutes and thought, we'll have a bit of a go, because the game's sort of not gone, but heavily against us now. They hadn't played well, so maybe they thought, we'll be brave and at least have a go. And if Sunderland beat us 2 and 3-0, we've lost anyway at this stage. Everton 1-0 down with 10 men. We'll have a go and see if we can get back into the game. So I think we're always going to be looking at things from a Sunderland perspective, Terry. But I think you have to also look at Middlesbrough. And I think they were brave and they were better. They were better on the ball. They stepped up a little bit more. They pressed us harder, and maybe that sense of injustice spurred them on. Because from their perspective, we've even said it's a bit of a soft penalty. So they might have thought, right, everything's gone against us. We haven't played well, but it's still only 1-0. I think sometimes we are inclined to drop back a little bit. So I think I've noticed it a few times when we get one goal up, we do tend to sit in a little bit. Cause I don't know whether it's because we've got good players that are good on the counter attack, quick players. Then maybe we're thinking, well, we can sit deep and then counter and catch them and get the second and kill it off. You know what I mean? As they push men forward, because naturally they're going to commit a bit more. So I don't know if that was the thinking, counter attacking to try and get the second. But there was a 10 or 15 minute spell that they looked like they were going to try and force a way back into the game.
Right. So I think someone's put in there, Middlesbrough put an extra man in midfield and Mishoot went missing. So Wayne, on Mishoot and that sort of playing against 10 men, what's actually your thoughts on Mishoot on Sunday? He sort of had a good sort of first half until half time and then at half time, after went out to 10 men, he's been very small, slight player for a midfielder, isn't he? So what's your thoughts on Mishoot and what's your thoughts playing against 10 men?
I think on Mishoot, I think he still needs to get a little bit more physical. And what I noticed as well, he does kind of mope about a little bit if things don't go his way. And interestingly, for the game, when Tony Mowbray kind of said he's told him for to smile and not to kind of, mope about when he doesn't get a pass or things don't go like that. So he is good on the ball, but he gets shoved off the ball a lot. Especially second half, he got pushed off the ball and got tackled a few times and we lost the ball that way. So I just think he needs to be a little. But he's going to get bigger. He's only young and he's still, but he will develop. But he just needs to work on his physical side of his game. But on the ball, he looks really good. You can see he's got talent. He picks a pass out. He's really composed. So hopefully that physical side comes as he gets older. In regards to the against that, I think we kind of went in ourselves a little bit. We similar to the week before, like when we went down to 10 men. We did the same to Swansea. We had a go and we got the equaliser, and it was looking like Middlesbrough might even pinch a one. So I was quite worried, and I thought they're going to get one here. And I think that goal 10 minutes before the end just came at the right time and killed the game off. Like,
do you reckon CONRAD, because of Mishoot, he's moping around a bit? Do you think he's come from PSG, big club, training with Messi and Mbappe, and he's come to Sunderland? I'm only at Sunderland against playing with these mediocre players. Do you think he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, or do you think he just thinks he's better than he is? I don't get it. Why would you mope around if you don't get a pass? Just enjoy football. Tony says, just put a smile on your face and enjoy football. Earn your trade, learn your trade, and grow from here. But what's your thoughts, CONRAD?
I mean, if we're talking about moping around when you don't get a pass, have any of you seen when someone doesn't pass to Patrick Roberts on the side? His arms are up and down, like, I was over here, like, what are you doing? But then 5 minutes later, he'll skin 3 people and put a world of a ball in. So, I don't know, there's a lot of talk of that, especially when he first came. People were asking, why is he not playing him over? It's like, he's incredibly talented. We're just trying to get him ready and right. So maybe there is something in that he's a bit like, hang on, I wasn't playing with Mbappe and Messi, and now I've got the Loch Ness Drogba up front, who's even better than them. So maybe he's just in awe of him. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe there is something in that, or maybe it is that he's a little bit like, you don't get as roughed up when you're playing in training with PSG, and then you've got some players like Middlesbrough's midfielders who are roughing him up and going, right, look at the size of him, get into him a couple of times, and then he'll soon mope and not want the ball, maybe not even show for the ball. So maybe that's why he went missing. I do think that when Middlesbrough, when they conceded, they took off Akpom, their attacking midfielder, and brought on McNair to fill in at the back, who's a bit like a 6 more than he is a centre-back, but he can play both roles on there. And then they brought on Watmore, so they had a wide attack instead of trying to play through the midfield, where I think they just sort of locked down the midfield, which is probably why we found it difficult to break through their line, because they went, right, we'll come in a bit in the middle, and we'll let Watmore go on the outside, and we'll try and hold on to the 1-0 and see if we can nick one.
Jackie, want to be in?
Yeah, I was just going back on Mishu being a bit moany and a bit whingy. It might be because he's demanding more of his teammates. You know what I mean? He might have high standards. He might have saw them playing better in training and know that they can do better. And really, it might be more kind of a whinging and encouragement in a way because he knows those players can do better and he wants more. And he's a bit more demanding. One of the moaniest players I ever saw was Roy Keane. And I think it was just because I've seen him do interviews and he just says it was because I know my standards are so high and these players can do so much better. And I care for them and I want them to do so much better. So it might have been an element of that. You know what I mean? If he's got high standards and he's seen what we can do, for large chunks in the first half, when it started to go a bit sloppy in the second half, he might be kind of as if to say, like, you know what I mean? We've been so much better and now we're going a bit sloppy. It might be one of those rather than, you know what I mean? I'm too good for this type of thing. So I suppose you don't know, but I think Tony Mowbray looks like he's going to be ideal at putting his arm around the young players and being like, I think you're brilliant. Everyone loves you here. You're under no pressure. Just go out and play football. I think the Blackburn fans, when they give him reviews, said he was excellent with the young ones. So hopefully he can do that with them and just make them enjoy it like he said he was going to in these interviews.
Right. So again, everybody on the chat, if you're enjoying the live stream, please give us a thumbs up. Hit the thumbs. Let's smash the thumbs. Let's try and get 100 likes on the channel. And right, we're going to talk about the rest of the match. Anyway, Arsenal fan says he misses Sunderland in the Premier League. Ian Wilkinson, yep, you're right, bit of a brat, was like that at PSG. Well, Anon says, questioning regarding the penalty law. Well, I haven't got time for that at this moment in time. I want to go back to the match. Ahmad scored the second goal. He had 4 bodies around him. Lovely pass from Patrick Robertson. Good combination. I like Patrick Robertson and Matt together. They seem to have a good understanding of each other. Conrad, thoughts on the second goal and what was your overall opinion of the finishing result?
I thought it was a great goal. It took me a second to actually realise what he'd done because I was expecting like the Birmingham City goal. I was expecting him to earn a yard and then see him whip it round the far side and go like that. So it took me a second to realise that he'd smashed it near post when he'd got his yard on him, which I think is probably what the keeper thought he was going to do as well because it wasn't far away from Stefan on his side, but I think he was expecting he's going to bend this or he's going to pass it into somebody on there. He's just class, isn't he, on there? And I know they say don't fall in love with loan players. Interesting. I did see his recall clause had expired this week, so he can't be recalled back to Man United. So at least we get to keep one of them at this point. And he's just great, isn't he? And he absolutely loves it. I don't think even if we stay in this division or if we go up, we've got a chance of getting him back again on loan. But I think he knows that he's like, I love this, but I could do better like next time, do you know what I mean? And sort of step up. And then once it was done, once he scored, there was no chance Middlesbrough coming back. Their head's gone. They were just like, yeah, just keep it at 2-0. Let's just see the game out now and we'll just, lick our wounds, blame the ref, and we'll move on to next week.
Wayne, are you in love with the Mad as well?
I think he's tremendous. I think he's fantastic. I think he's potentially probably one of our greatest loan signings ever. He's just class, and his first touch is good. The way he turns, he's just got it all. And you can see he's going to be a big star in the future. And he's like Mitchell. He's only small, but he uses his body well. He gets in between defenders and he's nippy. And he took his goal really well. Like Conrad says, I thought he was going to put it in the far corner, but just changed his mind, put it in the near post, and it was a great finish and kill of the game. But I love him. I think he's cracking little player.
Nice one. He's got great feet as well. Quick feet, hasn't he, Jack? What was your thoughts on the goal, Jack?
Yeah, I thought he took it really, really well. As has been touched on, it seemed like a narrowest part of the goal that he somehow managed to get past his player and slot it in quickly, and the keeper didn't have a chance. The keeper was kind of like looking in amazement as all we were, thinking, how's he managed to get that in from there? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's just excellent. He's getting better with every game. He's getting more and more confident with every game. He's trying things a little bit more. I think he is an off-the-cuff player, isn't he? I think if you were to try and pin him down to a position and give him disciplined role to track back and do that, I don't think he's going to do that. I think you've just got to say, Ahmad, just go and play your natural game. And he's under no illusions as what that is. He knows his game. He's confident. He's happy at the minute. We are seeing the best of him. I think Wayne touched on best Sunderland loan players. He's definitely up there with the likes of Johnny Evans and Fabio Barini and Danny Welbeck. And we've had some good young players, some good young loan players over the past sort of 10 or 15 years, haven't we? But the way he's going at the minute, he's just brilliant. And whether or not he makes Man United's first team, who knows? But he's certainly given himself an excellent platform. And long may it continue. I just hope and pray we can keep him fit and he doesn't get an injury.
Interesting what Ian Wilkinson says. Pity Man U paid big money. It's pity he paid big money. Imagine if he bought, maybe he spent maybe 1 million on him or something, and it was just someone that picked up cheap on, and then he comes to Sunderland on loan. We'd probably have a better chance of signing him, but we've got no chance of signing him because he's worth 7 million.
It was like in excess of 20, I think they paid for him. So you can just see we're adding, extra noughts onto that now with him playing over. I know it's a league below, but like you say, they'll have a look at him in the summer and they'll make a decision on what they want to do next. They might go, right, let's go Premier League team, see if he can get, and hopefully that's us, if we go up and take him back.
Well, Steve Usher says, watch Ahmad's goal in slow-mo. As soon as his right leg hits the ground, he hit it with his left. Amazing technique. Amazing technique. It was absolutely amazing technique. Right, Jack, quickly. Trey Hume, has he improved that much in the last few games? Because for me, he seems a different player altogether. He seems to be a lot more confident. He really puts a good tackle in for him to be like a young defender, a small, not really over physical. But I think he puts a really good challenge in. I think he's having a great time at this moment.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic, wasn't he? And he just, like it's been touched on, he seems to be getting better and better every time he plays. When he played there first few times, a bit like I'm not sure on this lad, but he's getting consistent, and you're getting a 7 or an 8 out of 10 out of him every match. I don't think there's many wide players have had a good game against him recently. I can't think of anyone really troubling him. And yeah, he's just like a number of our players, gaining in confidence. I think he's settled. He knows he's going to be pretty much in the team most weeks now, unless he gets injured. So hopefully we can get that settled back line, and they know each other, and they can play around each other. And I just think he's fantastic. He's come on leaps and bounds since the start of the season.
Nice one. He's having a good game. I thought the whole back line was great. I thought Leslie was great. I thought Ballard and Bath had a good game as well. For me, that's a really good combination at the back. So, Conrad, thoughts on Hume and the full back line itself?
Yeah, Hume was great. I have to admit, I'd not seen much of him. I think that was the case did we have him last season in January, and he didn't play much? And then I probably thought, he's one of them that we bought thinking, he's not going to make it now, but he's come on and he's got himself in the first team, and you don't look like looking back and going, yeah, Gooch, you're going back in there now. You'd sort of think, well, you've firmly established yourself in. I have to give a shout out to I think Watmore got past someone at first, and then about 2 minutes later he went to do it again, and Hume just it looked like 2-footed him, but just straight in on the ball and just wiped him out, and the crowd got a good cheer. I was like, that's the type of player we want, someone who's absolutely hammered you because you just went past one of our players on there. And yeah, he's great. If he could work on that header in the first half that he tried that went straight over the bar, then that's the next thing to add to his game.
Exactly. But I mean, he did a couple of really good challenges at Wigan as well, so he really puts the boat in. He seems to time his challenges quite well. Thoughts, Michael? Wayne, who's Michael? Michael's on the chat. Michael on the chat. Michael on the chat actually said to me, I was going to read that before. Ahmad reminds me of watching Steve Malbonk, so skillful with his feet. So, Wayne, what was your thoughts? Wayne, Michael, what was your thoughts on Hume in the defensive line?
I thought he was great. Like I say, I think he's getting better and better with every game he plays. And just touched on there, Tony Mowbray. That's probably great credit against to Tony Mowbray for he's developing the team, because I think before Tony Mowbray came in, he's never actually get a look in, has he? The managers that's provided, he's been looking to play him, but now he's getting in and getting a run of games. He looks, like I say, he's getting better and better. And for me, he's got to be first choice now ahead of Gooch. He's head and shoulders above Gooch in my eyes. But the whole back four, like I say, I think that back four, if we can keep that for the rest of the season, and enough, then I think we'll have more clean sheets than what we have in our conceding goals. I think so. Signs are good.
Telly says the days Terry played football, everyone was toe-ending the ball with claggy real leather football and clarts. There were the days. I used to play in goal, so I used to save them not toe-end them, but never mind. I can see Terry with one of those tashes. I don't like tashes. I look old enough as it is, and I'm wearing bloody facial hair. You need facial hair. You're only about 20. Right, Tony Mowbray, Jack. Was this his best game in charge so far of Sunderland, for tactics, for team selection, for substitutions?
Yeah, I think so. I think in terms of the way that the goals and everything, you could argue Reading away was pretty much up there in his honeymoon period, wasn't it? But I like yesterday's win, because I thought we came up against a team in form, a team that are arguably on paper there or thereabouts, going to be there in the top 6. There's not much to choose between us. and we handled the occasion very, very well. I thought he got his starting 11 spot on. Nobody can really have too many complaints with the way that we played. And I think some of our fans, I know it's hard to take to him because he isn't this flashy standout manager. He's not someone who's going to give you interesting sound bites or get a lot of media coverage. But I like him. I like the quiet job he's doing at the minute. He's good with the young players. He's a steady pair of hands. And I think at the minute, for what we are as a club and where we're looking to go, I think he's doing a cracking job, all things considered. Is he someone that I think we're going to manage us for 2 and 3 years and probably be the one to take us out of the league? Possibly not. But for what we are at the minute as a club building, I think you've got to give him credit. You can't really pick too many faults with what he's doing. And I think some of the fans that are on his back maybe need to get off his back a little bit.
Nice one. Out of 10 for that performance, do you think, Jack? What was Tony Mowbray's performance out of 10?
Well, the Sunderland team, I'd give Sunderland 9 out of 10 yesterday. And Mowbray, I'd give him an 8. I'd give him a steady 8. I think there was only that 10-minute spell after our goal where I thought we could have changed a little bit earlier. But other than that, I thought he got everything pretty much spot on.
And who was your man of the match?
Man of the match, I know Diallo's going to be the obvious one, but I thought Dan Ballard was absolutely immense at centre-back. I thought he never put a foot wrong. And really, that performance was I thought it was like a Premier League defender's performance. Me reminds us a bit of, we had Johnny Evans. I know I've mentioned him earlier in terms of loan players. Reminds us of him, somebody who just looks, dare I say it, he looks too good for the Championship. And when he plays like that, I think we've got a real talent on our hands. I thought it was fantastic. Other players did well as well, but I would give it to Dan Ballard.
I had a nice Tony Mowbray pie at the weekend. Those little pork pies, Mowbray pies. It was very nice indeed. Wayne, what was your thoughts on Tony Mowbray? Was his best performance as a manager of Sunderland? And what was it, rating out of 10?
Yeah, I think so. And he loved it even more, obviously, with it being over his hometown club. So it's, I think it's his best performance so far. Like Jack's just been said there, tactical wise, and apart from the little spell in the second half, we were great. It's nice to have that complete performance, and you can't really argue with what he's done so far. He's doing the job. He's what we need right now. And Alan's just put there in the chat there. He's steadied a ship that's been rocking for over a decade. So quite correct, He's come in, like Jack said, he's a safe pair of hands. He's got the experience of the league. He knows it inside out. He talks a lot of sense. He's good with the young players. So at the moment, he's the right fit for where we are. Man of the match for me yesterday, I'd give it to Trey Hume. I thought Trey Hume was tremendous yesterday. From the first minute, he's good getting forward. He's not afraid to put a foot in. He can put a decent cross in as well. So for me, you could have picked any number of 3 or 4 players, but I just thought Trey Hume shaded it for me.
Right, before we go to Conrad, my man of the match, Will. In the first half, we had a couple of good opportunities. I think Stewart had a chance to score. Ahmad had a chance to score. And then Stewart went offside. And I watched the defensive side of Stewart at corners, 3 or 4 corners we had, and he was in everybody's ear, but not like shouting at them, screaming at them. He was coming along, touching them on the shoulder, have a word in the ear, go to someone else, have a word, telling them what to do, put them in the place. Like the captain in the box. Stewart, he has everything you want from a player. He scores the goal. He's in defence. He was clearing the ball away from the corners. And I just thought he marshalled the defenders and helped them out massively on Sunday. Wayne?
Just also, I'll give it to him, but I just thought if you look at Dan Neil the last 2 games, he's in there against 10 men against Swansea. And I thought when Evans went off yesterday, he kind of played the Evans role. And I think he's getting better and better. With games, as games go on, he seems to be a lot more composed and he's getting a lot more confidence. And I thought he was immense in the midfield yesterday as well.
Yeah, I thought Hume was great. Ballard, Bart, and Leslie back line. I thought Neil was fantastic. I thought Roberts had a good game. And Mad, I thought possibly there was only sort of Clark who was sort of out of all of them. You can't give them all 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I thought maybe Patterson was a 7. Roberts was about a 7 or 8, and Clark was a 7. And Evans obviously went off, so can't really rate him. I thought Leslie was great. I couldn't decide whether it was Hume or Stewart, to be honest, because I thought Hume he's grown in confidence. He's been put into this deep end, trying to go for the playoffs in the Championship. He seems to improve leaps and bounds. And again, I thought Stewart, because he's up there scoring the goals, and he also does so much in defence. He's such an all-round player. Conrad, Dan Neil was absolutely brilliant and getting better and more confident and seems to be growing in stature in the centre of midfield. Who was your man of the match today on Saturday, on Sunday?
It's a weird one because I know we've already sort of said, you know, there's so many we could have picked. At the time, I was thinking I had to give it to Patrick Roberts just because he got 2 assists. That first one, he just volleyed the ball straight over the top, didn't even take a touch, just went ping straight over. He knew where the run was in behind him on the first half. Every time Diallo was getting in, every time Stewart was getting him, it was coming through from his side. He was either given the option of the overlap or just in and around it there. Same in the second half. I thought he was really good. He just seems to if you had one of them there, they might get marshalled out of it by the left back. And I think you touched on it before. The fact that both of them are there, it really helps. The other one, I think Roberts is sort of really sort of under the radar, helping Diallo just have that, like, you can just do what you like. I'm just here slightly behind you, just ready to sort of, you know, do it on there. It could have been any of them. I mean, like you say, Stewart led the line great. He was, on Sky even mentioned it as well, the fact that he was just, every time we had a corner, a free kick or anything he was defending, he was organising our team and really sort of being like, you know, like I think at one point we were all sort of spread out for like a corner and he sort of got Bath and Ballard over and he sort of did that love train thing that England do where they all sort of line up and then they're like, and he was sort of whispering like, I know, and they all sort of scarpered off and it was like, he knows straight away what he wants from the team and everything. So I'll probably go Stewart just because of, especially the pressure on that penalty when they were already scuffing up the turf. Did you see one of them got a yellow card for scuffing up the turf as well before it was taken? And then the coolness as well, because the keeper saved it. It's the ball spinning like mad to not just rush and just go, and just sort of like try. It took a second as well, just be like, and in. And then a smug celebration of, like, I know I got a bit lucky with that one. But yeah, I'll go.
What do you want to say, Jack?
I was just saying when Conrad was mentioning before the penalty, did anyone see Diallo when we got the penalty? Diallo was giving it all like, come on, like really wrapping the crowd up before the penalty. I love that, mate. I just think it's a symbol of someone who's buying into Sunderland. He's getting it, you know what I mean? He loves being here. And the fact he was giving it all that, come on, it was like we were doing, like, when we're going to come on, like, fists up and that way.
Yeah,
like,
he was almost like a fan playing on the pitch. It'd be like, I'd have loved to have seen 09 as well. Like, if he'd have been on commentary as that had happened, I'd have loved to sort of seen him like leaping on the commentator, just going like, get in, lads, come on.
I thought it was excellent. I just thought it was superb timing and everything. It just really made me laugh.
And the thing is as well, he was right in, like 3 Borough players had all gone up to the ref and he's in the middle of them just going, yeah. It was brilliant.
Right, before we go to the last subject, I'll say a big thank you to everybody on the chat. Do apologize, I can't read out all your comments. Thank you for giving us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Try and smash 100 likes today. Be much appreciated. Again, thank you for taking part in the chat, or thank you for just tuning in and watching. Right, the last subject, quickly, Ellis Sims. Wayne, do you think he'll come to Sunderland?
I think he jumped at the chance. I think he was disappointed that he had to go back to Everton from what we see. And I think, I don't know whether the sacking of Lampard would make a difference, whether the new manager want to give Sims a chance, but I think if the rumours are right and we are in talks to bring him back, I think he'd jump at the chance, and I think I'd like to see him back as well. So I'm not sure about the permanent, maybe on the loan end of the season, but I think he'd jump at the chance to come back here.
We've had 1 signing today. How many more will we get through the door?
I think we'll have another 4.
Really? 4? How many strikers?
I'd like I'd like to see us get 1, possibly 2. Another maybe another cover for left back and maybe a goalkeeper. But I'd like to see 2 strikers. I think we need a minimum of 3 just for cover for the second half of the season.
Right, Jack, same to you. Sims, and how many coming in the door?
I think we'll get another 3. I think Wayne's maybe a bit over exaggerating 4. I think we'll get another 3. I think we'll get. We've got our midfielder in, I think, with Ekwa, and I think we'll get a defender, a striker, and I agree. It wouldn't surprise if we've got another goalkeeper in on a short-term deal. But I think with touching on Ellis Sims, I think the managerial Lampard goal might work in our favour, because it screamed to me like last chance saloon, just try and do anything I can to get players back in and bodies back in, because we're getting desperate. New manager hopefully comes in the next few days, hopefully before the window, and Everton say, and he looks at it and think, well, I don't really need you. I'm going to bring in 1 or 2 of my own players in. So let's be confident. Let's hope Ellis Sims will be signing.
Happy days. And last word to Conrad. Thoughts?
I think, Sims, he can only come to us, so they're either going to keep him in the reserves for the rest of the season, or you may as well send him back to us if you're not going to use him. I think it was more the board went, right, let's just bring him back, give Lampard the options. Do you know what I mean? At the time, I don't think, because if Lampard wanted him back, he's used him for a grand total of 11 minutes across 4 games. Like, if you were going to give him, and Calvert-Lewin wasn't even fit for 2 of those games. So if you're going to try him, that was your chance. But yeah, I'd have him back just because we know what he can do. He knows the team. We don't have to worry about a bedding in process, and we know what he did. I think I agree with Jack, probably 3. We always tend to do our business really late. It's really annoying because we get to like the 20th and go like, why are they not signing players? This is ridiculous. And you just see videos flying out left, right and centre from content creators going, this is ridiculous. They sack the board. And then like 3 days later when we're all in, it's all hunky-dory. But yeah, like Wayne said, a couple of strikers and maybe a keeper as well.
Nice one. Again, thank you for everybody for tuning in to tonight's stream. Do you want to say goodbye, Jack?
See you later, lads and lasses.
You want to say goodbye, Wayne?
Yep, thanks for watching. Take it easy. Speak soon.
And last words from Conrad.
See you later, and thanks for watching, and keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Thank you, everybody. Tune in on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll talk about the FA Cup run all the way to Wembley. See you later.